Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports every Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, one of the best platforms in the world for music and also sports shows. So thank you so much, iHeartRadio. We love being on your platform with Charlton and Big C Sports. We call it Real Sports Talk, and it is the $1 Million Show, Big C. I also want to say thank you to all of our listeners down in Latin America. So bienvenidos to you. I'm telling you, I'm learning more Spanish. So Donald Trump, don't build that wall. Also to London, England, as well as Berlin, Germany, and the great country of Canada. I'm going to learn that national anthem too, Big C. You can laugh all you want, but I'm going to learn it. Also want to say thank you to everyone in Russia, but no needles included, but thank you for following out in Russia, and of course the great continent of Africa. Big C, talking about all the people that are following us on iHeartRadio. How you good old boys doing down south?
Well, we've been loving it down here, Charlton. It's great to have a new platform that's articulate, intelligent, and informative.
Yes.
You know, the thing that you're seeing in radio and television, whether you're flicking from one channel to the next, the only thing that changes is the voice inflection.
Yes.
With the broadcast. That's it. You know, you get guys stuck on one subject for a half hour because they really don't have any insight. They got their research staff constantly feeding them information about the individual because they really don't know.
Yes.
Other than that piece of paper or that teleprompter that's put in front of them. But, you know, I'm loving this opportunity that you and I have because I don't know what you look like still. So, you know, I plan on going on the internet and seeing if I can find you.
Well, a lot of people say I look like Tay Diggs, but I think Boris Kojo is cool too. Also, that brother named Tyson, they tell me that's what I look like, but we'll take their word for it, Big C, okay?
Well, Mike Tyson.
I didn't say Mike Tyson, I said Tyson the model.
Gold teeth in your mouth, you got a tattoo on the side of your face. You know, maybe I'll just stay where I am and I'm going to make that road trip out there and hang out with you.
Hey, with this new currency reset coming up, they're all talking about Jack Lew. They're about to reset the world's currency. I think gold is the standard we all need to go by. And thinking of the gold standard, this segment is also sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And you can only get it there brand new. So when you go by and test drive it, make sure you tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. You might even be able to get the one that Big C just turned in. I know he goes through Escalades like most people go through socks, Big C. Is that what I hear?
Well, Charlton, when you're going out four-wheeling and mud, you know, in a new car, you know, sometimes you just don't hold up the way you thought that they would. So, you know, it's been a great ride. You know, maybe they get the mud out of the carpet and stuff, you know. The dog had great fun in the back of the car, Charlton, so they're going to have to get a little slob out the back window also.
Well, we got to explain our Cadillac, our Northern California Cadillac dealers. They have a little bit of a different experience when people are turning in the car from a lease. When you good old boys down south turn in the car, you got to get the dog hairs out, the mud out, and some of the raccoon blood that you guys are known from hunting down there too, Big C.
And we wasn't hunting, we ran under the tires, Charlton.
Okay, I understand that. So anyway, I just want to say, number one, thank you again for being a part of the show, Big C. You're over 40 years of experience, and I hear more and more people on TV going back and saying how long they've been in the program. Even Colin Coward saying he's been following sports for about 40 years. I think he's only 50, so congratulations to him also. But I want to bring up this point. You know, we love blending Hollywood and sports, and I just be remiss without talking about, you know, Jackie Gleason, how he was not only just a great actor in Hollywood, but he also did some work with Burt Reynolds. And I know that Lee Corso, who's going to be on ESPN Game Day, he was actually the quarterback at Florida State with Burt Reynolds, I believe, Big C. But just talk about Jackie Gleason, Smokey and the Bandit, and some of the things that he did to represent Hollywood in the world of entertainment, Big C. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, Jackie Gleason, Charlton, most people will remember him from Lucille Ball's show.
Yeah.
Where he played her husband for the neighbor's husband for a long time. I mean, the Jackie Gleason show on television was a long run, and it was a spin-off of that show.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you think about him in his acting career, you know, Smokey and the Bandit, you talked about that series with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Where he and his son, you know, he played Sheriff Justice, chasing McCraw.
Buford T. Justice.
Yeah. But, you know, he had an iconic sports movie, Charlton, with the great Paul Newman.
Yeah.
Called The Hustler.
Yeah.
Where they were pool sharks. And Jackie Gleason played this character, this real-life character, called Minnesota Fat.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was an iconic movie for its time because pool was such a great industry and business in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, America had pool halls where you could go in and play snooker, 8-ball, 9-ball. And it was an American industry like bowling was. And so it was one of those things that they brought to the big screen and they made it entertainment. But Jackie Gleason, you know, he played with the great Richard Pryor in the movie The Toy. He had such a broad movie career over his years, Charlton. And he was just a fixture when he was on television, when he was on the big screen. America knew who he was. He was knowledgeable on both sides as a director, as an actor. But when we lost him, we lost an American treasure. But he was very active in the film industry.
Well, I think he was absolutely wonderful. And as a little boy, I remember seeing the movie Smokey and the Bandit, and it made me laugh so much that I realized I still think back to how funny it was just thinking about them doing the good old boy thing of driving 110 miles per hour through the South trying to get moonshine from one state to the other Big C, so that was always great.
Well, Charlton, you think about some of the lines he used in that movie that, you know, you could not use realistically today, but it was so comical, you know. And his son was the brunt of most of his
definitely.
I mean, he threw stuff at his son all the time. And you know, he sit there, you know, and said he had to question some more than Lenny did after a while, that there was no way he could have came from his genes. Well, with the lack of mental capacity that he had. But, you know, that's just one of those things that's a Southern joke, but he made America laugh, Charlton. And that, when you can do that, when you can make America laugh, Charlton, you've done a great deed for society.
Well, speaking of doing a great deed for society, and again, we love sports, and we always talk about having that social consciousness that Muhammad Ali had and that Jim Brown talked about with the great Harry Edwards and also Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Well, Disney, they have so much money. They just gave $1 billion to ESPN for Major League Baseball streaming. They're going to do something with streaming media to kind of make baseball more easy to watch, Big C. But I just asked this question. We know that UPS gave $500 million to the Ali Center to help kids with education and learning math and science and getting computers. We talked about Warren Adams. He's a city council member here in Sacramento, California, the state capital, where he was giving grants and creating computer centers that kind of help make inner cities at least some form of the Silicon Valley mentality, where they go from being unemployed to becoming entrepreneurs. Now, no one can blame anyone for giving money. $1 billion is a lot. But I look at Jack Skipper, the president of ESPN. Have they been asleep? $1 billion to help baseball look more appealing on TV? Why not make an announcement that you're giving $1 billion to some inner city school programs to help them learn math and science and have computers? Now, it's their money. They can do what they want to do. But they're the sports leader. They're always reaching out to kids, especially minority kids. Why are they trying to make baseball more appealing? Why is that more important than getting computers? How much could computers, what could you buy with $1 billion? I think they're missing the boat, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, how do you make a stadium that seats 45,000 and have 17,000 and it look appealing? Baseball plays too many games. It doesn't parallel with the rest of the major sports of football and basketball, and even basketball plays too many games because you have to find time, Charlton, and you think about it. If you want to make baseball seem appealing, how many kids have to miss school to go to a stadium for a mid-afternoon game, Charlton?
That's a good point.
Baseball has it wrong. They're telling kids that education is not important. Pay attention to this game that's going on. Forget about school. So that $1 billion investment is a bad investment when you talk about enhancing the opportunity for young people, Charlton. You have to look at what's going to enhance the opportunity for their future. And when we talk about futures, I mean, you look at the NFL draft, Charlton, and the popularity of it. But, you know, I want to take that and parallel that with youth football, Charlton. When we looked at about 6-7 million kids playing youth football altogether across the United States. In the NFL draft this year, Charlton, 68% of the players that were drafted and they came from single-parent homes, Charlton.
Wow.
Single-parent homes. 68% of the 256 players that were drafted by the NFL this past offseason. Now, when you look at that, and we talk about education, and a lot of those players came out of college early, Charlton, so they will never finish their education. They're looking to be that lottery ticket for their family. And granted, a lot of these kids come from hardship situations, and it's great to see them make that money. But when you think about the totalness of the numbers, when we're talking 6 to 7 million youth football players in America compared to only about 260 players being drafted in the NFL, Charlton, that's not a great percentage of being able to earn a living.
No, you're right.
And so we really have to look at that educational module that we keep talking about of computers, enhancing the classes, demanding that recruiters from college as these coaches leave something behind in their community at that high school that they're taking this kid from, getting this free labor out of. Leave computers behind.
Yeah.
Leave an opportunity for a future for those who are not going to achieve in athletics, Charlton.
Yeah, well, Big
That's
C,
what they have to do.
that is very well said. I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. What could a buck do for you? I'm telling you, Big C, I have this winning Mega Million ticket in my hand. It's only worth about $40 million, so I kind of feel like, Joey Bosa with the San Diego Chargers. Only $40 million, is that it? But I tell you, $40 million goes a long way, Big C. And I just want to say this, too, because I love what we do on iHeartRadio. In fact, I was talking to the guys at iHeartRadio today. They're actually updating our page and making it more appealing, so I thank them for that. And also, Big C, for people who want to advertise, if you advertise on the iHeartRadio network, they have over 250 million people in their platform every week. So every week you're looking at 250 million in their platform. That's a billion people a month on the iHeartRadio platform. So when you're spending money on something, take a look at any program that's advertising on iHeartRadio. That's Charlton and Big C Sports. Also talking to you, Uncle Phil Knight. We're going to get Nike as a sponsor. It's either going to be Nike, Under Armour, or Adidas. So either one. We've also reached out to all three of you and waiting for your reply with that. But Big C, I want to bring this up too, because we talk about money and we talk about how people have to be socially conscious. Now, I've never met Jack Skipper, but I grew up on ESPN since 1983. And I know a lot of young kids, especially young African-American boys, and I'm sure men of all races and colors, women too, watch ESPN. But I just think they're dropping the ball with this $1 billion trying to make baseball seem more appealing and saying nothing about giving money to inner-city schools, which happens to be the majority of the athletes when it comes to NFL and NBA basketball. Why would they not take the chance to say, we're going to take some of this money, even if it's just 10% of $1 billion, that's $100 million, and we're going to fund inner-city programs to help create computers and math and science so they can understand the stock market. Now you would have inner-city school districts performing just like some of the school districts from India and China and also Silicon Valley, as well as Beverly Hills, Big C. Why does it seem so easy for us to talk about it, but they just got $1 billion? They said nothing about education, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think about inner city, where are most of these stadiums placed at?
Yeah.
When they go in, they condemn the inner city areas. They take homes away. They take businesses away. They say for the greater need of the city. Or is it for the greater need of their professional team?
Yeah.
You're not going to find a professional stadium, Charlton, built in the suburbs. You're not going to go in there and tear out a housing tract in the suburb of $500,000, $1 million homes, saying that we're putting in a stadium for the betterment of your community.
Right.
It just doesn't happen, Charlton. It goes into situations where you have low-income people. They take them out, and where do you transplant them to, Charlton? Where do they put them? Wherever they put them, it's the same people. So whatever that area is now will be that 5 to 10 years from now. But they, supplant these people and say, hey, it's okay. So when we talk about the education, and this is one of the things that every city in America that funds a professional organization, Charles, that builds a stadium, they should be demanded to build at least 10 schools to match that stadium in that surrounding area, to decrease the population in the schools, to give kids an opportunity to learn, and also update their surroundings where they're more comfortable and they're modern like the stadiums, Charlton.
Well, Big C, I agree with that very much so. And again, Jack Skipper, he's the president of ESPN, and I just hope he's not a sycophant to the sports business, because a lot of people, they want to kiss up to athletes. We have the Olympics going on, but sports, and I've talked about it before, and I've been hearing it more and more, sports is cathartic for people. Sports will bring people together more than the church, because churches are segregated. Whenever something happens in a city, we always ask the pastor to come out and pray for people and try to bring the communities together. And that's great. However, the sports world, and it's not that we're a paragon of virtue, but it is a place where people can all congregate and they can pull for something together. And I just hope that Jack Skipper grows a consciousness. If you don't understand how, just talk to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, talk to Harry Edwards, talk to Jim Brown, and see if you can do something to give back to these inner city schools, because the young black youth and also the rural white kids, but predominantly inner city kids, they don't have jobs. They don't have jobs because most industries have moved outside of the country. But if we can train kids to think like the people on Wall Street think, all they need is a computer and to understand the stock market, Big C. They can become insurance brokers. They can become real estate brokers. Whatever it is, they can learn to create employment for people. That would help bring America out of the abyss economically. I just hope that makes sense. And as we get on to the next subject, Big C, the appeals court in New Jersey, they turned down a bid to legalize sports betting in New Jersey. That's Donald Trump's territory, Big C. So they don't want the illegal gambling and everything that it brings with it. Is that a good or a bad thing, Big C? Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, I think you said that in reverse, that they didn't want the illegal gambling. The illegal gambling is legal.
Yeah.
They did not want the legal gambling,
right,
cutting into the illegal gambling.
Exactly.
Because people get paid.
They get paid.
I don't care where you gamble at. Matter of fact, the FBI just last week busted some 13 people in that northeastern corridor.
Yeah.
You know, for racketeering, gambling, anything, you know, mob activity.
Yeah.
And the Gambino family was part of one of them. John Gotti's family, you know, was part of it, the late John Gotti.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you look at that, you know, gambling is like sports. It's synonymous with America. It's always occurred.
It's always
occurred. When they don't have anything, they will gamble what they have, hoping to make it more.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset of the world in America. You know, I mean, Vegas doesn't keep the lights on giving money away.
Wait a minute. I know I went down to Las Vegas, and you know the thing I was kind of mad about? They do not let you win anything unless you spend money first. I kind of had it. I was kind of naive because I saw some of the commercials come to Las Vegas, and everything that happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But if you don't have money, you can't enjoy all the accoutrements and all the potpourri flavor and everything else that they offer, Big C. You didn't tell me that, Big C. I had to learn the hard way. You don't bring in money, you don't get any honey, Big C.
You did not listen to the advertisement in Talk, and they said what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Okay.
So when you open your wallet in Vegas, what was in there stays in Vegas.
Oh, okay, now I get it.
You got to read between the lines of what they're talking about. But, you know, you think about Vegas and all the betting that's going on right now with the Olympics.
Yeah.
And it's great, Charlton, how well America is doing at the Olympics. And I want to take my hat off tonight to the American female gymnastics team. They've won gold for the second straight Olympics.
Yeah.
And what I want to say about this team, Charlton, is that it's so unique that we've never had in history. It is the most diverse team that has ever represented America in an Olympic event.
Yeah.
When you think about this team, Charlton, it's led by 2 African Americans. There's also a beautiful young Hispanic girl on there.
Yeah.
There's an Anglo girl on there, and there's also an Italian young lady. It's the oldest on the team. She's 20 years old. But when you think about, when we talk about coming together through sports, how sports can heal wounds, Charlton, how sports can bring society together. All you have to do is take a picture of the American gymnastics team, the female gymnastics team, and you see what represents America, a cultural melting pot, that everybody is there with the same cause and purpose, Charlton. When we talk about things matters, and I want to jump off the track just a little bit here.
Yeah.
You know, we've heard so much in the past years that Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlton? I'm waiting on the next protest for Black Lives Matter. This week, Charlton, what is the date? Tuesday?
Today is Tuesday the 9th, August 9th.
It is Tuesday, August the 9th. This week already, Charlton, 19 blacks have been shot in Chicago, okay? 19. 6 of those, Charlton, have died. 19 shots, 6 have died. And the most tragic part about it, Charlton, there was a 10-year-old little boy, African-American boy, playing on the porch with his 4-year-old sister, was shot and killed. On his porch, Charlton.
Yeah.
Now, I want to see the protest on the news. I want to see the protest in the print. I want to see this. Because as an African-American man, I want to see everybody say that Black Lives Matter, and hopefully the people in Chicago at some point, with this stupid asinine behavior that they have and attitudes, will wake up.
Yeah.
You're killing yourself. You're killing your future. You're killing your culture. Yes, it's unfortunate that a law enforcement officer will kill somebody from time to time.
Yeah.
But if they have the most difficult and respectful job in America, nobody's perfect.
Right.
But this senseless America and want to protest when a police officer is out doing his job, risking his life, but they will not protest for a 10-year-old boy who is on the porch playing with his 40-year-old sister and gets shot.
Well, Big C,
that's appalling in America, Charles.
I agree, and that's very well said. And we jumped on it many times. And ironically, Big C, whenever we do talk about a lightning rod issue like this, I get more pushback from black Americans by saying you can't blame them because they grew up in poverty. Well, look, everybody grows up in a certain condition, but to take another life is just not acceptable. And when blacks do it to other blacks, you don't hear the national media. There are no churches getting together or holding marches. No one's boycotting. We have this stupid thing called Don't Snitch. Well,
no,
think about it.
This was a
10-year-old boy.
Yeah. Playing on a summer night, getting ready to go back to school and continue his education.
Yeah.
Playing on his front porch with his 40-year-old sister, Charlton.
Yeah.
Could have been 2 lives lost in that point. But unfortunately, this young man lost his life.
Yeah.
I want to see the outcry nationally about this, okay?
Well,
I want to see, if you're not going to talk about this, don't talk about any of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not discrediting any life.
Yeah.
But if you can't protest against the children of America being killed by their own race, what are you protesting?
And see, Big C, that's an important thing, and I want to bring it up after this sponsorship. And this segment is also sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed life insurance up to $100,000 with no medical questions asked. We're also endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society, and we work with all of the unions in the United States under the AFL-CIO, and I'm also looking for 1,000 insurance brokers, licensed insurance brokers, to offer insurance to help America stay on their feet. Now, Big C, when I think about that, everybody in this country has an affinity for people who look like them. But I do tell you, one of the reasons we do ask people like Jack Skipper or Nike or Warren Buffett or even any athlete or team that owns, any person that owns an athletic team, if we can't contribute money to teach people math and science and how to become entrepreneurs, then it makes less room for knucklehead kids to run around and do whatever they're doing to make money, hustling, whatever business they're doing to hustle to make money, and then they're harming other people. Playing sports is not the solution. Having opportunities for economic advancement is the solution. And it only happens with computers because there are not really a lot of jobs where you can go do manual labor and support a family. But some of these young kids who get pulled down the wrong track, the wrong side of the tracks by the knucklehead men who've already lost out, unfortunate to say that, the younger generation and their affinity to learn computers and to become entrepreneurial, I think that's the way not only to solve America's problems, but particularly in the black community. So that's why we're always saying, computers are more important than shoes. I know that Jordan has a lot of shoe programs. He just gave, I think, $5 million to the African American Museum, and that's great posturing. He's a billionaire. He can do that. No one's going to knock you for giving money. But what if he had $5 million worth of computers to go into inner city schools and get some of these kids the tutelage to learn to become like the next Silicon Valley, as opposed to dropping out and getting into whatever hustle they have that leads to incarceration, that leads to violent crime. It won't happen overnight, Big C. Does that make any sense at all, Big C?
Well, Charlton, it's similar to what I spoke about earlier in the program. 68% of the players that were drafted in this past NFL draft come from single-parent households.
Yeah.
Now, normally when these children come from single-parent households, Charlton, they have a parent who's working and struggling. Because normally they'll work at least 2 jobs most of the time to keep food on the table, and generally there's more than one sibling in the house.
Yeah.
And Charlton, they're not living in suburbia most of the time. They're living in the inner cities that we've talked about. They're living in housing projects, and I'm not denigrating anybody here, Charlton.
Right.
I'm just speaking to what society is. When you look at the great athletes in America that are playing the professional sports, basketball, baseball, football, they are not coming from suburban America, Charlton. They're coming from inner city. They're coming from some tough schools. And that's the reason why they've been able to make it to that level, because of the fortuity that they've had to build up to get there.
Yeah.
But they should not have to endure that hardship as children, Charlton.
It's difficult.
This is what we talk about in giving back computers to these communities that you go and pilfer these kids out of to make your university several more $1 million over the next couple of years while they're there.
Yeah.
So as Americans, you have to protect each other and help each other. And that's not going on, Charlton, when we look at these kids. Like I said, 68% single-parent homes in the NFL draft. All of them are not going to make the NFL. All of them don't have a college degree. What's what's going to be the fallout for those guys who get cut? Now, if you get cut in the first couple of weeks of training camp, it's great because you have an opportunity to be picked up.
Right.
But you get cut after that third and fourth preseason game, rosters are set already, Charles.
Well, see, and that's another point we're making, too, because, again, with the iHeartRadio network, I would be so ashamed of myself if I behaved the way Michael Jordan behaved over the last 30 years, if I let people think I'm just a dumb black man, okay? And that's a fact. It's painful, but if you're a person that acts like you're intellectually vapid, like you don't read, like you don't know what's going on outside of how can I shoot a basketball or how can I slam dunk a basketball, I mean, to be like Mike means to be a sycophant. And I'm ashamed of how he's behaved, except for the last 2 weeks where he gave, I think, $2 million to the NAACP or some other cause, and then he just gave a $5 million check, which is probably a write-off. But here's a man that so many young black boys look up to, especially the kids in Chicago that are shooting each other. And the reason that happens, and I'm going to bring up a name that a lot of people may not even like, but you bring up names like a Jesse Jackson, or even sometimes Malcolm X talked about having self-awareness and how you can be self-determined. And some people don't even like what Ronald Reagan said when he said, pull yourselves up by your own bootstraps. We know it takes a village. It takes people to help each other, especially in families. A lot of Jewish families have that, where they help each other through generations. A lot of Caucasian families have that too. And a lot of African-American families have that as well. However, the bad part about being an African-American athlete is a lot of guys are so afraid to make their kids proud of them. They're so afraid to make their kids proud that they let this degrading behavior go on with this vulgar rap music. And I know people are going to get at me for saying that again too. But this rap music that makes us hate ourselves, telling ourselves that our wives and girlfriends or mothers are the B word instead of intelligent and queen. So over time you start hearing all that painful, hateful music, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where your life is not that important, because I've heard rappers tell me for time and time again how we don't matter. So I'm not surprised that a lot of people have this genocide behavior going on. I still think the way we're going to come out of this garbage is to let people know that they have a chance to make it in America. Computers, the entrepreneurial spirit, whatever the government can do to help, I think that's great, but it's not just a black thing, Big C. It takes everybody to be like Lyndon Baines Johnson to create opportunities for others. And I want your thoughts as we talk about the sports world. I just want to bring this up. We talked about it yesterday. Jim Furyk won the golf tournament. He shot a 58. There was no talk of a social consciousness because he's a white man. And I'm asking all my white brethren, all my white guys who have a consciousness, whether you're Tom Brady, whether you're Kraft that owns the New England Patriots, to have more of a social stance, Big C. I think Charlton and Big C Sports, outside of ESPN, maybe once every month, will talk about the social responsibility. If we do this enough, we can help end what's happening in Chicago, Big C. Does that make any sense at all?
Well, Charlton, the major sports is being played right now is Major League Baseball. You do not, and it's predominantly white and Latin American, but you do not hear any of these broadcasters or announcers during any of these games saying that these players should have a social consciousness. We have 2 professional baseball teams in Chicago.
Yeah.
Murder capital of the U.S.
Yeah.
19 African Americans were shot this week.
19.
Are they going to interview any of the Cubs, any of the White Sox, saying, how do you feel socially about what's going on, especially on the South Side where the Cubs play?
Yeah.
Okay, this is where the majority of this is occurring, Charlton.
Yeah.
And you talked about Jordan. Chicago was his town with the Bulls.
Yeah, he said nothing. He said nothing at all.
He was there during his entire career. He was never a social activist during his time with the Bulls. That wasn't important to him. You know, he let that part of it go. And he's trying to make amends now. And it's great. Mike's been a great philanthropist for the years, Charlton.
Just too silent, bro. Too silent.
Now he's trying to do it publicly.
Yeah.
And maybe by him doing it publicly, he will create some awareness and consciousness amongst other people, Charlton. Say, okay, I want to be like Mike, as you spoke about.
Yeah.
Being like Mike was buying a pair of shoes for years. That's all it meant. Buying Nike gear. Great advertising. But now, take that Nike money, take that I want to be like Mike, and have that social consciousness. Michael, you have an obligation and you have the ability to awaken the social consciousness of America.
Yeah.
You are one of the mainstays. You are as important in America almost as the President Obama.
Yeah.
You are more well known than he is, or as equally as known.
Yeah.
You can create a lot of imagery with your image
I
and
agree.
your voice. If you step out there, Mike, and try to help put a halt to this scenario that's that's been going on for too long in Chicago and the rest of America, of this black-on-black
Yeah.
They listen to Mike. And if Mike steps out of the shadows and say, hey, I want to be that leader. I want to be the person that has a part of history in stopping all of this nonsense violence against our people, I will be the difference maker here.
Well, see, Big C, I think that's so well said. And again, the sports shows are great. The Olympics are great. We're proud of all of our Olympic champions, and they're competing worldwide. In Brazil, which has a lot of violence in Brazil, but you know how TV can come in and pretty everything up. They can put some lipstick, some fresh paint, some air freshener. They make everything seem like it's pretty, but we know it's still a high crime area. But you know, there's no crime around where all this money has been infused into Brazil. They can infuse money into inner cities. When you give people jobs, they can eat. When they can eat, they're less likely to prey on their other neighbors. And that's the fact. No matter what community you live in.
What's going to happen to Brazil when the Olympics are gone?
Same old thing.
You know, they had a private security company hired to police the Olympics. They took them out, fired them, brought in the Army.
Yeah.
Okay? The Army. So what's going to happen to security once the Army is gone, okay? And the world is no longer watching Brazil.
Yeah.
All of what was done, who's going to take it over? We know it's one of the most gang-infested, violent places in the world.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when the security's gone?
Yeah.
And the sports are gone, Charlton. Sports has brought peace to Brazil. Okay, we don't see anything outside the facilities and the village.
Yes.
But it has brought peace to the world. We talk about it many times. What sports can do for society.
It's amazing.
It can calm. And everybody has this common purpose and sense when sports are being played.
Yeah.
But when those sports are not there, it's like the NFL, Charlton. When the NFL season is not going on, domestic violence goes up in the U.S.
Yes.
It honestly does. Domestic violence increased dramatically in the U.S. when the NFL is not going on.
Well,
during the baseball season right now,
yeah,
there's lack of interest. But when the NFL is on and college football, there's intensity when they want to pay attention to that. And everyone is happy.
Well, Big C,
but, you know, sports is just a great suitor in America.
Well, we know that sports is $1 billion industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to that $1 billion industry, but we got to keep our neighborhoods safe. And I hope that we have a voice here. And I would be remiss if I was on a program like ESPN or Fox, and all I did was tell you that the Yankees beat the Giants 7-5, the Red Sox beat the whoever 6-4, or the A's beat the Angels 6-3. I mean, that's great. But we're not that dumb. I mean, I think we're too smart for that. And I hope our society will catch on. And I hope that Jack Skipper will make some type of announcement before the start of the football season that they're going to take some of that $1 billion and invest it in inner city programs. And speaking of investments, I want to say this last segment is sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. I'm a life insurance broker with One Life America, and we offer life insurance and final expense with the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. I'm also looking to employ over 1,000 insurance brokers to help offer life insurance to American families to protect families. Also, this segment is sponsored by BeneathHisWingsFoundation.org. Make a donation today. It's easy, it's fast, and it's secure. And when it comes to promotions, contact Cynthia Evans of CYNN Entertainment. When it comes to promotions, she's the best in Northern California. Also, thank you, Becca, the Business Cupid, hooking up sponsors in the future. Big C, the last thing I want to say for this, because, you know, you really opened my mind. When I was younger, I'm embarrassed to say that I was just a dumb jock. I was like the guys you see on SportsCenter just reading the scores. And one time, a professor said to me, which was something that was insulting, but I took it as a compliment because I was a knucklehead at the time when I was in college. He said, "You black boys, you guys do a good job playing sports." And I said, "Well, thank you." But he said it in a negative way. I didn't really understand it because I thought he was complimenting me. Because a lot of my other friends who were kind of intellectually vapid at the time until I started reading more like you, Big C, I didn't realize that he was saying what I understood now that I'm a grown man, that sports is a business. And for people who think they're going to go make $1 million contract, you're mistakenly wrong. We have to understand the economic impact of our decision making. And that's why I'm so proud of you, Big C, for bringing to my consciousness the fact that this is a business. It's not about a game, and we have to make sure that people understand the economic impact of it. And if we have a microphone on the iHeartRadio network and we behave like the same dumb jocks that we're not proud of, then I think that we would be doing a disservice. I don't think any kid, no matter what color your parents are, I don't think any parent is proud of a dumb parent who has the ability and who has multiple millions of dollars in the bank yet they say nothing because they don't want to hurt their sponsorship. Their sponsorship is more important than the lives of young people. We do need more people to speak like a Dr. Martin Luther King, someone to speak like a Lyndon Baines Johnson, and start saying what's right. I hope that Jack Skipper, president of ESPN, you'll grow just a little bit of a social consciousness, Big C. I'll get your thoughts on that before we close. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, you think about Jack Skipper. So yesterday he announced they're going to do 20 dominant black college football games.
Yeah.
Which is a drop in their bucket. They do twice as many high school games, Charlton.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is African-American sports is less valuable than the rest of the sports across America.
Yeah.
And then today he announces, $1 billion to baseball. How is he going to enhance baseball? It is a game that is built on the same format that it was 100 years ago. It's not going to change, so you can't enhance something that's not going to change the dimensions. And so when you think about that, if you want to enhance something, educate, set up baseball academies in America for youth, for inner city, improve their facilities, Charlton, so they can go out and play. Put up some brick walls where they don't have to worry about stray bullets coming in while they're in practice, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's how you enhance the baseball experience. Make it safe for the little kids in America to play in the inner cities like Chicago, Detroit. This is what you have to do, Charlton. But this is not what's being invested. If you want to invest in baseball, invest in the youth of America.
Yes.
Make it safe for them. Teach them how to play the game properly, the way the game was played in the 60s and 70s.
Yes.
Now you've enhanced baseball because now you have a new group and crop of viewers and players, Charlton, that are American.
Well, Big C, I want to thank you very much. And I want to say this final thing, too, that for iHeartRadio Network, the platform's over 250 million people per week. That's over $1 billion per month in their listening platform. We are reaching out to companies like Nike. We are reaching out to companies like Adidas or Under Armour. Also, I represent a company called G5 Textiles. We can make uniforms from anywhere in the world. But I ask all of our brethren in media, if you've been blessed to have a microphone in front of you, if you're blessed to be on one of the top networks in the world, whether it's iHeartRadio, whether it's ABC Sports, CBS, ESPN, Fox, I hope that we can have a social consciousness where we quit putting people on the air who are intellectually vapid, just reading scores, because we have a chance to reach back to the young generation. I'm finally able to say that I'm proud of Michael Jordan. Finally, he wants to do some things like Jesse Owens to make people proud. He's trying to give back. Maybe he's already done it, but he's been so private about it. We need more philanthropists, someone like a Bill Gates or Warren Buffett to help cure all of our ills. We can't just leave it up to the government to do it, Big C. And I want you to close in the last 30 seconds or so, Big C, just your thoughts on how philanthropy and computers will help save our inner city schools, Big C. One more chance. Your thoughts on that, Big C? It seems like we lost Big C a little bit, but I do want to say this, that as we come to a close, no matter who you are in this country, everybody has a chance to be great in America. All you need is someone to believe in you, and you need someone to back you financially. If you believe in helping the youth the way Charlton Big C Sports believes in helping the youth, it takes money, and it takes computers, and it takes understanding math and science. I'm asking all of our great sports teams and sports leaders, as well as politicians and clergy, see what we can do to help give back to our inner city schools. They need computers. They need math and science the way anybody in any suburban school. So every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide, you can follow Charlton Big C Sports on iHeartRadio. You can also reach out to us on Twitter and Facebook. And I want you to know that we appreciate you, we thank you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.